kind of a big help there. Oh, and I did bring in a lot of pieces just to kind of show you what I've been working on lately. Been a little bit experimental with some things, just using the paper, and what would happen if you just do the lights for the most part. Kind of a fun way of using the paper. So this is an example here and here. I know you're probably seeing just a bunch of glare. But if you get a chance, take a look at those. It's been kind of fun. I'm leaving some of the sketch here and just experimenting. And then we've had this crazy purple light on the model. Just thought that's an interesting piece. But I always like to say that the importance of value is you can do crazy things with color. If you get the value right, you have form, believable form. So kind of an example of that. Working on a piece right now that is a folklorical piece.
Oh, wow.
Near and dear to my heart. My grandfather was a mariachi cornet player.
Is that a photograph that you saw, or?
Oh no, this is one that I took. A friend of mine, Jeanette Trujillo, has been teaching Mexican folklorico dance for years, and we went out to the Cinco de Mayo over at Civic Center Park, and so I was taking some pictures out there. So this is from last year's Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I recently, my mom gave me these old papers, and I've got my grandparents' citizenship papers.
Oh, cool.
And it's like 1946, 41. And so my mom, she was born in LA in 1937. And so I just kind of realized my mom's DACA.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is she hiding?
Yeah, well, they got their citizenships. So she's safe, I think. But yeah, nowadays, not be out there too visible, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so in drawing, I did give you some handouts, and help yourselves to anything here if you want. I brought in some handouts for drawing the head, but also there's the one that has the Pluto doll. And so we'll just start with that, but I want to draw some other things. We'll draw a figure, draw maybe a head as well. But let's start with that, just to kind of, it's an easy way then of kind of talking about technique that I use. The teacher I had was actually a student of George Bridgman's, Western Slope, and went to school for a while there, and then I had to go to work. We weren't poor, but we were broke. So anyway, we started with this, and feel free to ask questions at any point. Kind of like that, just informal. It's good for me. Just process. Well, let's do the doll. We'll do the doll first, and then I'll kind of bring out some of the figure ones, and we can look at those, the process. Bill had me drawing with straight lines, and that was, kind of learned that that's a good way to capture gesture if you have to interpret even curvy things with a straight line first. Just kind of find what that angle is. So the simplification of line is a big part of the process that I learned. It's a little different than classical approach to drawing, but Bridgman had some more modern ideas that were very helpful for composition and stuff, because you always start with the largest mass and kind of work towards the smaller. A good way of controlling composition. It's hard to compose the figure if you don't know where to start. But we can start with just large masses. So there's a couple ways that we can do that. One way is to always just look for the halfway. So anatomically, we know that to be the where the ischium bones come together, so it's the pubic area. Top of the pubic hair would be about the halfway point on most people. However, there's a lot of factors that can change that, including perspective and gesture. So it's good to know anatomically where it's at, but it's better to just check and see where halfway on something is, and just mark that. Quick way of finding halfway, it's very good to know the halfway, but if you don't get the halfway right on your paper, it's not going to help you a great deal. So I have a student that just took the paper once and there's the halfway. Did a good accurate, because I always get mine a little too high, but it usually works out. So I need it a little higher. But just keep that in mind. Your anatomical position that that's based on is like that. And you're not going to get that in most poses. But if you have a leg coming towards you, then that leg becomes vertical space that changes your halfway, so you have to just check and see when you're looking at something. With a doll like this, different probably to approach it, but what I might start with is just called enveloping. You guys heard that term before? Yeah. Yeah, so enveloping, I can look at the doll and then I'll just kind of create the shape as though I'm touching the head and then coming down to the front feet, and we'll cut across and go back here. So it fits a triangular sort of format. And then if we incorporate the tail, we'll leave a little room for that. But so, okay. So what I'll do is I'll look at him and just kind of see what are the largest masses. And so what I see is the head probably is the largest mass, and then the body is very similar in size. So we'll just come over here and get the head, very simplified version of it. You can also kind of look at how far down is it going. So we're occupying a space maybe this big for the head. And then the body is similar, but we're going to see where that is going to come out from. So let's move this and we'll just get our body laid in here. Very simple. This could get even a little bit bigger. And so then there's our two largest masses. And we won't wait too long before we get the legs in here just to see if we can stay with this composition. So here's legs. I'll just cluster them together. And there. And then the back legs come in and touch the front. And so then we have a tail coming out here. And this can be divided later, but looking at that, there's your composition. Now for the next 3 hours, you don't have to worry that you're going to be cutting off the head or cutting off the feet. You know you're safe. And you can also discover quickly, if we keep the lines very simple and few, that if we are kind of on our way to making it too small or too large, we have to control that. Yeah, the time to fix it is when you have 20, 30 lines rather than 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you working with?
Oh, yeah, I should talk about the materials. This is just willow charcoal. So willow charcoal, if you haven't worked with it before, it's basically burnt twigs. They take them and without oxygen, put them in a kiln without oxygen somehow and cook them. And so you get a nice charcoal out of that. It's real caveman technology.
Well, it's been proven over time, hasn't it? It's been proven over time.
Yeah, it's held up. That makes me think of the cave paintings and then I always think of Mel Brooks's History of the World.
Yeah.
The critic.
The first art critic ever.
The critic walks over to the wall and sees something. Okay, so now we can start to break down these masses into smaller masses. And along the way, you're still refining the drawing. So you're still kind of editing as you go along. But get those big masses in there. If it's an arrangement for a still life or even a landscape, just get the big shapes in, see what your arrangement is, and then before you get all into the detail. It's kind of our temptation is to start with detail, whatever interests us the most, but that can get you into trouble. Starting a figure drawing with an eye, because you love the eyes.
You really go wrong.
So, okay, we'll take, this is funny, echo, gotta get used to that. I'm not over there. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we'll take the head, and if I look at that, it kind of divides in half. So that kind of part of it is the nose here, and then so the upper and the lower part of the head we can divide. So now I'll just kind of turn that into what I see here. So we've got the, I guess it's a brow.
Unibrow.
Yeah. And then that's the area that the eyes will fit into here. So I'm just kind of going into this space a little bit, and I probably should develop the bigger stuff first though. So we'll get the top of the head here, come down and get the back, and then we want to take a look at where the ear is starting. And I can rough that shape in there too, a little bit smaller shape. Comes down here, but almost by the arm. And almost straight lines, but if you break it down into straight lines, you get a lot more of the character. It's like if you did an apple, you're gonna get a better apple if you kind of do it with straight lines. If you get too curvy, it becomes a tomato. But just to get that character, even in the human form, oftentimes we might see somebody's hip and it's whoop. But no, it's much more interesting. Kind of work your way through with the straight lines, get the character of that shape, the weight, what it's doing, where it's sending your body tissue there. Yeah. Okay, so then come in here and get this jaw area. I'm still going to make this a little bit bigger, I think. The ear. And then we have a collar, and we see the nose begin. This will come down a little bit further. And now we can develop that nose and mouth. Just like that. And over here, start to break this down, the shape that it's taking on the nose area. And we see that go for a little while before we hit the actual nose. And take a look at the mouth area there. But you see how the straight lines really pick up the character. Mm-hmm. And they kind of keep you on track for the angle, because you are working the straight lines, you're paying attention to the angles. Another thing you can do is just drop a line to kind of keep you on track sometimes. Like we do reclining figure, and it's a good idea sometimes just to keep you on track with your perspective. Just take a line right through, right down that figure, so we know to build that at that angle, not lose it. In the process of details, we sometimes lose the more important angle, which means your gesture's just gone. Yeah. Okay, so we'll come in here and get the chest there, come out to the leg, and you can see that's a little bit shorter. If I look at one of the things I'm looking at too, besides my largest mass, is now I'm going to start to look at negative spaces and the spaces between things. Another part of the process is just even the way that you're holding your charcoal or pastel. If I hold it this way, I can draw with my whole arm, which is very helpful for also being sure that I'm getting back from the work. Being back is probably the best thing you can do for looking at proportions. If you're too close, we oftentimes, I call it tunnel vision. You know, you see segments, and then the segment at the top may not match the segment at the bottom. So just the simple act of stepping back and even drawing back from your work is helpful for proportions. So you want to be back and just hold your, I need something a little bit longer. Hold your drawing instrument in your hand like that. You can always use your nail for that stability that you would do with your hand, except that your hand ends up doing that. That's how you work. So your nail's a lot better if you're just dragging that, if you need that stability. So we'll come back and get this fixed. But I'm looking at negative space, so something like even where this sphere turns and comes down to the body, that's the space I'm looking at. I want to look at this space when I'm setting the feet, and I can even plumb line down and see, well, what do the feet line up with? Well, they're about here. So just dropping a line can be helpful. If you want to check it. Sometimes it doesn't matter that much, but it's a good thing to do, just check that. So come down from the body here, and then the arm starts here, and that's gonna come down. And something I can do too is comparative measure. I don't like to measure everything, and that kind of confines you a little bit too much to not do what you want with it. Sometimes it's fun to change the proportions a little bit. If, for example, if you're working from a photograph, sometimes that photograph's a little too wide angle, has some strange effects like that, and you may just want to change that so it's more aesthetically pleasing, the proportions, than this effect that came from the camera. So anyway, I'm just saying, you're not stuck having to get everything exactly the way it is, because especially working from a photograph, you may have some distortion from that. So have that freedom to change things. Add that little extra half inch to make something more elegant. Okay, so we'll get this leg going in here, and it comes out, and we see the toe. Just look at it relative to the other. Again, look at your negative spaces. We can break down the contours more later. But we see this foot here, comes down, and then cutting in here. And it looks a little thick, so I'm just kind of thin it down a little bit. And we'll move this foot in tighter. And I want to pay attention to the perspective, because we do have a perspective that's going this way. So even though it's flat on the table, be aware of where's the horizon. Always sort of think about that. And where do we find the horizon? Does anybody know? I mean, what's a good way of finding it?
Is it line of sight?
Yeah, it's always your eye level, right? Yeah. So I could look at Michael over there. If our eyes are at the same level, that's where the horizon's in. Another way is just to look at any two receding parallel lines to find a vanishing point. That will put it right on the horizon, as long as you're on level ground. The idea of how do we show elevation. Elevation happens when your vanishing point is above the horizon, and then descending is below. So if you were doing a 2-point perspective or 1-point perspective, that's kind of how you get your up and your down. Yeah. But anyway, didn't mean to get off on that. But we want to, looking at the doll, you can see that, yeah, it's on a flat surface, but we need to make sure that we're having this angle for it to be correct. Okay? And that helps kind of give that feeling that you're seeing it from this particular perspective above.
So can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I'm confused about that.
Okay. This is going upwards because, and all these, if we turn this into a line, it's going to be on its way up to the horizon. One way to think of it, put the thing in a box, and then that box, the lines from that box, if it's below horizon, all those receding parallels on the box would be heading upwards.
Like if you were drawing a cube, what angles would you make the bottom of the cube? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. So if this guy were in a box, our box might look like, let's see, from above, yeah, it's gonna look like this.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and so these guys are all headed up to the same vanishing point on the horizon. Of course, these guys, I've got them, they're actually, if you think kind of three-point perspective, they're also converging down. But this is, here's Pluto in here. And so we're gonna get that effect of the perspective. He's here, his back is there, that's coming up, head is here. But what I'm trying to say is that you want to get this area down here to kind of go upwards because it's going away and it's below horizon on the level
That's
surface.
interesting.
So, yeah, so now I'm sort of, so
Okay.
your eye level, you're way up above, so
Uh-huh.
on your box, you're
Yeah.
looking down.
Yeah, horizon is, for me, right here, relative to the doll. Now,
Yeah.
where the horizon is for you right now.
Right, it's different.
Is
not.
the top of the dog's head.
Right.
You're wherever your eye level's at to here. It might be with the box, it might be the nose of the dog. So you're seeing it different than I am.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is
And
why it's called perspective. To see
you're
through-
standing
see
up.
through
You-
your eyes.
but you're looking down,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but your eye level is still the same place.
yeah. Mine, I'm getting that angle up. Jeanette's not.
Right.
You're gonna see it probably flat.
Right,
Yeah, if you're at that level. So I used to do ballet dancers. I go to ballet, and it'd be fun to just play with the perspective a little bit. One of the things I would do is try to get stage level. All the feet were at the same level, no matter how close or how far away they were. The variation was at the tops. Yeah. And then other times, when I didn't get kicked out, I would go up side stage and go up to one of the light stands on the stage and look down and get some good perspectives that way. It's really fun. Yeah.
so when you paint a group of people on the street, I've heard that all the heads should be about the same unless it's a kid or somebody that's dramatically different in height, but all the heads should be about the same if you're looking down the street.
Where they are.
The feet will move, but the heads will be about the
Yeah, the heads
same.
would be, if you were at the same level as their heads, then yeah, you're gonna see
Right.
more variation with the feet. The only trouble with heads though is that you're not gonna run into too big a crowd that are all the same height.
Right, I mean,
So there will
yeah,
be that variation. Have you ever seen that, how to place figures? It's a really simple but crazy idea that works great. Grab another sheet of paper, I'll show you.
might be a good plug for Susan Kuznetsky, how to paint figures in the scene.
You know how to promote anything, don't you?
Finally waking up a little today.
I was talking a year.
Okay.
I was talking a year.
So if we're doing a group of figures, and for me, I wish I had learned this in art school. I learned perspective in a basement, didn't really know how it applied to real life. But I was working on a project called How the West Was Lost, and I had to do this big battle scene in the Bitterroot Mountains, the Nez Perce Indians kind of trying to make an escape to Canada. The cavalry was coming after them, so they meet up for this battle. The cavalry is coming in all gung-ho, their horses are tired. The Nez Perce were very smart, So the Nez Perce were breeders of the Appaloosa. Appaloosa was basically designed so that they weren't like the other Indians painting on the horses. They just bred them that way with interesting patterns and things. Anyway, they had herds of these horses, and so when the cavalry came to attack, they charged in with all their horses, hid among the horses. And I had to do this whole big scene. So they hid among the horses, the women were involved, they were picking up the weapons and giving them to the men. And this was one that US cavalry didn't go well for them. So, but it was just an interesting battle, and I had to show that. And so I drew my first person, drew my second person, looked great. Third person, I'm guessing, you know, where would that be relative to the other two to get that right? And then fourth, fifth, it just becomes, oh man, not really jiving together perspective-wise. So the solution was just to change the ground. Rocks and hills. Make it look right.
That's funny.
But the way you could do it, if this took place, say, on a flat area, and I don't know if it did or not, I didn't have that much information. Whoops. I'll scoot this just a little over. Okay. So you just, as long as if you know where the horizon's at, we'll put a high horizon there. And remember that that's your eye level. That's where you're seeing from. So we can decide that, okay, our eye level, we're going to see everything below us, like we're in a 2-story window. So I might create a figure then, and we'll make this figure, we will put it so that we're maybe like 2 figures up looking at things. So I'm just going to draw this first figure about the same distance. We'll make simple figures, more like bowling pins. Okay, so there's the figure. There's the horizon. So this is our eye level above that figure. Then I'm going to put just anywhere on this horizon I can put a vanishing point. And just simple 1-point perspective. It's going to go through the top of this person and through the bottom. Okay? So that gives us a really nice, look at this, how neat that is. They're all looking in perspective. That's fabulous, but if I'm doing a battle scene, they're not all standing in line. So what do? Well, we can come over here and we can go, okay, well this character is this far back, but he's over here. So I just take a horizontal line. And now I can put that figure over here, and it's still going to read correctly. Yeah.
It's like a fence.
Okay, what about if this guy's, he's next to his buddy who is a foot shorter? Yeah, the thing we need to know is where the feet land, because the guy that's a foot shorter, we can just knock off a little from the top there. And there he is. So we can change the size very easily. It's just really finding where the feet are. That is the info that you really need. What if it gets more complicated? One of them's on a horse. Now we got to think about, well, how high is the horse? And then how high is the figure above that? So we can go over here and say, okay, well, this guy is going to be on a horse. So this is what the guy looks like. And if the horse happens to be, maybe the back, it's a big horse, and the back of the horse is as tall as the person is, well, then we know that, okay, well, our horse is going to be that big. And the guy being this big is probably going to come up to about here. But, there it is. Just got to get the relationship of the person and the horse right. But the feet are in the right place again. And what if there is a big rock that somebody's standing on? This guy decides he wants to see better, so he stands up on this rock over here. Here's this nice little thing to stand on. Well, then I can take him and just move him right up. He's still going to be the same size, but we're just going to place him up on the rock. So it's really neat. I mean, you could do 1 million people and get it right. You know, whereas I couldn't do 4. Yeah. So just neat process, one of the things that we should teach in perspective.
Yeah, thank you.
Placement. Yeah, neat. Yes, I'm glad you asked that question, because it's such an important, neat thing if you know just how to use that. And it's a simple 1-point perspective to start it.
That was a great illustration of how to figure it out. That's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll pull this out of the way. Get Pluto done here. Yeah. So I'm coming in here, kind of looking at and refining along the way. So I had to tighten this leg up because I'm looking at negative space. But like I said, perspective we're looking at, and that perspective is going this way, but also it's kind of going that way too, with the legs. And then angles, when you are holding your charcoal, that's your angle catcher. Just look at try to find that station point where you're drawing from, and then catch the angle, come over and check it. Maybe a more complex shape, but you can still get that angle and then break up the shape more complex. All right, so now we'll look here and pull this just a little tighter. And we'll create that back leg. That comes out here, comes down. And if I'm not sure about the size of it, I can just do a quick comparative measure and see, well, does it fit into that space? And yeah, it's pretty close to that, so we're close enough. And then we can start to break up the contours a little bit more so the shape isn't overly simplified. You just get a little bit more of the character. And I like to do that with the figure too. Just try to break it down a little bit straighter line. When I studied with Phil Steele, who was a student of Bridgman, he made me for, I don't know, it was probably for a week, draw everything with straight lines, and every straight line had to go all the way across the paper.
No.
So any angle that I was capturing had to go all the way. You have this really interesting cubism going on, but it was neat because it was just good practice at every angle. You're having to see and put that whole line down.
What's the purpose of going off the paper?
Well, for him, drawing was a dance. I mean, he was, so he loved the lines. So even if the line didn't continue all the way across, it hit that point, but he didn't stop. Yeah, like a pitcher or something was following through. That's how he felt about drawing. But it was a good exercise just to practice capturing angles. Yeah. Phil was kind of funny. I don't know if any of you guys ever, did you meet Phil Steele? Oh, okay. Yeah, he was funny. He used to pretend to be Arthur Field or the Boston Pops because he looked just like him. Yeah. There's a lot of alcohol going around at that school. So things have changed. Okay, so we got arm here and ears pretty close to where it should be. And now I come into the smaller space and get the eyes. So work those in. And be sure to look at how much of this space the eyes occupy. They look a little bit low to me, so I think I've got to raise the nose just slightly. And just getting back, looking at proportions is a big help. And then look at the space here, and maybe we make this just a little bigger. And just a little bit of refinement, and we're probably far enough along to get right into pastel. But, be sure to check it by stepping back. So I'll get this and then step back and take a look at it and see if it's working okay. Actually, stepping back, I'm just going to be looking at this because that changes the perspective on him. But I'll just look at it and see if it feels like it's right. And see some things that I don't like, I'll fix that real quick.
Do you always do charcoal drawing with your pastels?
I do. It's almost always. And it's just because it's so much more forgiving and it doesn't use up the integrity or surface of the paper. If I were to draw with the pastel and I have to make corrections, then I'm kind of using up that amount of, the paper only holds so much, as you guys know. You reach that ugly point where what you put on is pulling off.
What kind of paper do you like to work on?
I've gotten used to this Canson Mitch. Yeah, I really like that paper. That's what I've used for years. But I have been trying some new things out. Like this is a kind of I forget what kind of paper this is, but it's like a sandy paper, a little bit. So it's kind of fun. It's little different effects for texture.
Which brand?
Brand of pastels?
No, brand of paper?
Oh, I wish I could tell
It's
you.
written
It's
on
written
it.
there. It's Mitch Touch.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I use that.
Yeah.
They have
I
a-
like it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I was gonna say, because I buy the Mitch paper, which I love at Meininger's. And they have an aubergine now from an Australian company that's very similar to that.
It's color
Oh,
Art Spectrum
Fabulous.
color.
Yeah, I think so. It's
is that right?
fabulous.
So it's a good paper too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mitch's touch is a little smoother.
yeah, Mitch
Yeah.
now is doing the sandpaper too.
Yeah.
So they have a
Yeah.
paper, it's like $8 a sheet, but
Yeah.
it looks pretty good.
They have the
too. So I'm having
velvet,
fun trying new things
the
out.
Canson velvet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, this one
different.
is
Some of
fun.
us like it, some of us don't.
Touch.
But it's Canson velvet. But it's not really velvet, it's another sanded.
Yeah.
But it's very smooth.
Did anybody ever work on the velours?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did too. Bill was big on that. He would do these sketches on velour paper. They did look a little like the bullfighter velvet paintings. but- Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah,
But they're fun to draw.
Velvet Elvis.
You had to have a light touch though, or else you'd really rip it.
I did iridescent pastels for a neon sign. That was kind of neat. Yeah,
Yeah?
that worked. But boy, that falls off, pastel falls off that velour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't go too many layers on that stuff.
I've got one at home somewhere. Yeah, I think, I worked with, one of our reporters at Channel 9 was Norm Rainey. And he was also a clown. So I did this clown on velvet, or on velour. No, it wasn't black though. At least it didn't look that way. But yeah, I think I still have that. It's probably my only velour painting that I still have.
Do you use fixative? Do you use fixative at all?
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Midway or at the end?
I'm starting to do it midway now. You guys have taught me a lot. Fixing things along the way. So I never used to. I'll just do it at the end. I was working with Jeanette, who I was just mentioned her teaching, but she used to pose for me, and we did some pieces, and I did a piece of her. She was trying to do a flamenco thing. She was pretty cool. She put her leg up on a chair, and we were trying to. It didn't turn out really great, the gesture, because balance with motion is different than balance still.
Yeah.
But anyway, we tried to make this thing look like motion. Anyway, it turned out okay, and the pastel looked pretty good. She took it to, I didn't spray it. I guess I didn't at that time have spray. Anyway, she took it to a framer, they wouldn't frame it unless it was sprayed. They got their own spray and just soaked it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the values just went way down, just destroyed it.
So what kind of spray do you use now?
I've been using, I think it's called Krylon Fine Art.
That's the
It's
one
like
that
$1 or $2 more than the other Krylons, but it's really good.
So I've tested almost all brands out with my students. And that's still the one that'll, if I use Fix-It at all, which I rarely do, but that one is probably the best for not affecting colors.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, see if I have it. Here.
Krylon Fine Art Fix-It. So don't go for the regular Krylon, it's kind of nasty. It's not Krylon Fixative, and it's a spray.
Who's going to do it outside?
Yep, there you go.
This is great too.
And that one's nice if you put it in another type of bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are figuring out how to make an aerosol out of it because the pump always spatters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
And it
yeah.
looks like you've destroyed your piece, but a lot of times it comes out of it okay. But it is a big spatter, it will kind of affect it, yeah. But
least
it's
now it
great if
doesn't
you
smell.
can, I gotta get one of those.
That's casein
Yeah,
based.
they're
It's
nice.
just
They
casein, yeah,
Yeah.
so you're not gonna have kids with 2 heads or anything after using this.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas this, we have to be a little bit more careful. But casein is supposed to be a lot healthier.
I forget, I got it at home.
So how do you make it a finer spray? Do you know that?
I don't. Mine usually end up with a spatter somewhere.
So if
I
you,
would really find this sprayer.
That's what I've heard. I need to find where that's at.
It's kind of like a press type of sprayer.
so we should, I'll write a little article for the newsletter on that, because
Amazon.
these bottles they're $10. They're typically used by hairdressers for hairspray.
Yeah.
But it's an empty bottle, but you fill it with that, and it just goes,
Wow.
Really.
A lot of watercolor artists use those
yeah,
too.
yeah.
You can get them for olive oil on Amazon
Yeah,
or,
they're very
you know,
nice, and it's using the even
misters.
spray, but that'd be my
Fine
number 2
spray mister.
fixative. Number 1, I'd go for the, yeah, because.
Yeah, Krylon Fine
But you
Arts,
couldn't
that's the
get that
blue
out of
one.
the container.
Really works well,
What container?
Only that
but you
way.
still don't want to soak anything too much.
Yeah, I'll write an article.
Light coats.
Yeah, I'll do a little article on that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm promoting fixatives that much.
No, I mean, just if you're gonna use it.
If you're gonna use them, at least go for and honest to God, I've spent a lot of money on all these, the Lacau and all these other brands, and I've tested all what they affect. And it's interesting on them, even after you test them all, you still go touch. It's still, there's pastels still gonna come off. You can keep-
Yeah, no matter what.
Which is
but
why I
it'll
put
hold
glass
it.
right on top of my paintings.
Me too.
No spacers.
We should get t-shirts that say no spacers.
That'd be great.
Passepartout!
Hold it in its place.
Well, somebody was saying in one of the meetings, and so I tried it, I really kind of, I have a piece going into the Mile High, it's got a really low-key, dark background, it's black, almost.
Thank you so much.
And I used this and just kind of soaked it in, and it sealed it, which made it nice, because usually you're battling with, if you have this background that's really low key, you might end up with a lot of the little tailings getting into you're trying to put your white in, and
Yeah, yeah.
all this gray starts to happen. But yeah, sealing it was a great idea early in the process, and then moving on, yeah. Oops.
Do we need a little, bathroom break?
Oh, sure.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and sketch out a figure, but we're really approaching it the same way as we did the simple doll. Did start to block in the doll, but I wasn't paying attention, and I didn't turn my light on. So anyway, once I turned the light on, the patterns were a little bit different. But I would if I'm using like a low-key value paper, I will go ahead and actually block in the lights first. I like to establish keys, so I'll put my darkest dark and then establish like the light pattern. It's just a nice way, things seem to go quicker that way for me. And you get the power right away, that power of light, if it's a direct light sort of situation. Most of these are, there's one piece that was more soft light. That's fun too. But if you do have a direct light situation, it's really nice to just break it down to maybe 3 values, light, shadow, and darkest dark. It's good to get those keys in though, just so we know where we're at, especially with value. So I'll start pieces that way, and so we see examples of that. This is probably one of the best. No, this one too. And actually starting with, here's the sketch. Just sort of a linear sketch. And then I'll come in and just separate that light shadow and see where my darkest darks are. In this particular piece, every color that I use, I put on here so you can kind of see, how many colors, what was going on there. And it's the same thing with this piece. Again, that breakdown. You really can see a lot with just that. It's almost a nice piece just that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that light and shadow. But for teaching, I try to just show a sketch and then the first steps in blocking in, and then where your time really goes into study of color, edges, all of that later. But the power, I know people would disagree with me, but I think the power really is value more than anything else. Yeah. Was there a question? That's all I had going on. No? Okay. All right, so let's sketch a figure. I just need a volunteer for that, if anybody wants to. Yeah? Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay. It's an honor.
Okay, and you can probably undress right.
That was good.
You know, it's a volunteer.
Be careful what you ask.
Best comment ever in a demo.
Oh my God.
Ken Belastro. Actually, he was waiting on a model, and the model was late. And this girl comes in, beautiful girl, and walks into the class, and he assumed that she was the model.
I told her to take her clothes off.
Yeah, and she was, really? She was gonna do it.
If you want to be in this class, you have to take your clothes off.
It's called
Funniest story.
painting.
Yeah,
Painting a nude.
that's funny. Good one, Terry. Boom, boom. That would be a funny twist, wouldn't it?
Okay, so if you want to just kind of do something kind of partially on the stool. Just find something kind of asymmetrical and fun, maybe that way. That's great.
I might have to move again.
Okay. So starting the figure, we're still thinking about composition first. And a good thing with a more vertical sort of piece is just be aware of the middle. So when I look at Terry's, yeah, where is the middle of Terry? I can just with my hand and trying to figure that out. And it was very close to just the bottom of the shirt. Is about halfway, so we kind of know that. Then I can come in here and start the piece. I need to leave enough room for her head, and I'll just go across the shoulders And one of the things you might want to do is take that moment just to compose. Put your model inside, and that way we can make sure that we're accommodating the leg. And tennis shoe, I'm just gotta make sure we can accommodate that leg. Leg goes down a ways, so might give it just a little boost up. Give that foot a little bit more room, so everything's coming up a little bit because I have the room for the head. But that's the nice thing, with such few lines, you can make that correction now, so we don't have to discover 3 hours into the study that we got a bad composition. You can also play little tricks where if it doesn't fit, you bend it. Like that where she's about there.
I can bend my leg.
Oh, no, that's okay. Just, look at that, compare that. There's some there. It's really tight, so I'm gonna get even a little bit more lift. Like that out a bit. Try again. There's our shirt and hands here, and then the leg goes down, and just a little bit that I need to get that, make that shoe fit. There. And I'll use an axis line, just, it's very helpful. With clothed or nude, get the axis line so that we can keep that turn to it. Our tendency a lot of times is to straighten things out and lose rotation as well. So axis line is very important.
What does the axis line mean?
It just means a line down the center
Okay.
of something. But the center of something, when it rotates, is no longer
Right. Okay.
in the middle. It shows that it's turned. So faces, if you got that handout, you might see that on the faces too. Although some of them are just the profile. Anyway, if I put that in, that's gonna help if there's any symmetry to it. To the clothing, or of course there is to a person's bare chest. And now we can come in here and take a look at this leg. One of the things I'm looking at very carefully too, at this point, is the negative space. So that space in here, very important. And then we'll get this other shoe happening, but I'm looking at the negative space, and I can plumb line from one foot to the other and just see if that feels like it's correct. The chair is over here, so we don't look like we're doing a Russian dance. We'll go ahead and put the chair in there. And this arm is there now, separate the arm. I'm still using fairly simplified straight lines to start with. And with the hand, I'll create a mitten and just do it that way. The mitten's nice because it allows you to get the hand where you want it to be and the size that you want it to be. So if you ever do hands and you start with one finger at a time, they never come out the right size.
No.
So just create the mitten and then divide it up for the fingers. So we'll create that. And come up, catch that angle, and then the angle up to the shoulder. And just make sure that we're not too high on the shoulder there. And just getting back and looking at the proportions helps a lot. But we're already beyond the gestural construct, so we know we're pretty safe. The one thing that does seem a little off, and this is where the axis line comes in handy, is finding, this is the front of the neck, so we're probably gonna want the head just a little bit further forward. And let this come forward a little bit. So I'm just getting basic shape of the head, so I know it's gonna fit okay. And now we can break this down a little bit more detail. Look at the collar. I think I'll get into the head first. Still want to bring that a little bit forward. So I'm just using a chamois. I buy the ones that you clean your cars with and cut them up. They're better, they're thicker than the ones you get at the art store and cost probably a quarter of it. So get the head placed here. And I just want that neck to sort of center. Coming down here. And just looking at sort of some of the patterns with the blouse sweater. Just need to look at that gesture a little better. I think let's get this to come forward a little bit. And as I push that, then I back to the head moving forward again. But one thing I could check if I'm having trouble with the head, I'll just drop a plumb line and see where it puts me. So I think we're okay about here. One of the things with the figure is pay attention to balance. A lot of poses and things, it's all about balance, what we do with our body. So if I'm standing like I am now, try to notice the weight's mostly on this leg, that's lining right up with the head. So if the weight is, and then if I shift, happens again, lines up with the head. If you're military style, then your head's between and your weight is distributed equally. Most of the time, we're all about finding balance, which makes sense. Try to balance a Barbie, and that's a person just about, except Barbie feet are small. But anyway, it's an amazing thing that we're not all falling down more. Yeah, when you're on this little foot, it's no bigger than your head, really. We're about the same. But it's neat because watch for that, then you get good balance. Your gesture will make sense, but think about the balance. There is a different balance that happens though with motion. So if you're trying, like I mentioned earlier, with the flamenco dancer, yeah, we faked it and it looked faked. Yeah, because it's a motion. Part of the balance is the motion, so that changes things. So that's where photography can be a great tool. Yeah, and it just seemed like before photography, look at dance pieces, they were pretty stiff and not very well done. Around the time of photography, we start to see better gesture with dance and stuff. I don't know how Degas did it. He was using a little bit with photography or what, but he was good at capturing real emotion. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Well, he's a poodle after all.
Yeah.
I said he's a poodle after all.
Twitches.
Sorry.
Her dog, big eye.
Okay, we'll get to that real quick. Okay, so with the head, now that I've got that sort of planted in the right place, we can start to break down the face. And the face, if you think about it, it's sort of, think of a line going all the way around, a lot of elliptical perspective to it. So think of this as elliptical perspective, a circle that goes around. The ears are going to be a little bit higher than that line of the eye, and the nose is the bottom, aligns with the bottom of the ear. But anyway, it's follow that circle. So when the head tilts, your ellipse now becomes convex or concave. Does that make sense? And that's how you can track where the ears should be. So when the head tilts down, yeah, they're up high now. So when I do the head, that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm putting a line that shows the tilt of the head and how it's going around like that. And then the other is the rotation of the head. And it's almost profile, but we put a line in here that shows that rotation of the head. So with the two lines, we pretty much can say what the head is doing. Just like that. Now with this line of the eye, I can also put in a line for the nose now, figuring that it's about 2/5 of the way down to the chin from the eye. And then the mouth, which should follow the eye, or should follow the same perspective. And so we might see it kind of come down before it starts to go up. Like that. First, you're looking at the size of the head to the body, and then you're going to go into that and start to break it down. But if you don't break it down correctly and your face ends up too big, generally then your head goes and it doesn't fit the body anymore. So it's probably the hardest part, proportion-wise, the hardest thing to get right off. But anyway, we'll continue this. And so I can develop the nose a little bit more. For me, the nose being in the center of the face is the natural place to go first. Then I have something to compare the position of the eyes to and the position of the mouth to. That filtrum space. The variables, all the variables that give us individuality are going to happen around the nose. So I like to get that in. The eyes, the line of the eye is really important because that also divides the head in half from the high point to the lowest. Okay. All right, so now we can start to develop this a little bit more. I haven't done any contours on the face yet because I can use the features to help me find those. But I'm just looking at the size, making sure that it feels correct. And now I can get in and start drawing. And when you're wearing glasses, keep in mind that it's not, in reality, you're almost better off drawing the glasses first instead of drawing the face and then putting the glasses on. And the reason is because the eyes can be distorted through the glasses. Your eyes either get smaller or bigger, and anyway, you might as well go ahead and draw the glasses. So work glasses into here. To hair, a little bit bigger. And then I can look for the eye through the lens, but it's affected by the lens. So, we can look at that. And the other eye, I don't see much of it. Now I can still make adjustments if I want to. Get the nose just a little bit lower. And let the mouth come down a little bit. I'll get that line, called the nasolabial fold, the cheek line there. Sometimes I'll use patterns of shadows to help me locate things too. So it's not always just getting it in the right place. You can use a pattern shape. So I'll come in here by the eye and kind of look at the shadow. And now get the bangs and cool things going on with the hair. And bring that in a little bit, and hopefully our head hasn't grown or shrunk so much that when we step back, we are in shock. And then I can make adjustments to the sweater, get that looking better, and just make sure that the head still feels centered and the arms feel like they're in the right place. And just check things, you know, on arm to be about 1.5 head in length. So pretty good there, I think. And just to see things better, I'll go ahead and give a little value to the hands. And then the folds, you're just looking for points of radiation that will create these. So off the shoulder, we get some piping that happens, spiral folds. Neat things. And break that up a little bit.
You aren't gonna paint any of my wrinkles, right?
No, you look like you're 25.
This is your 25-year-old drawing. And so I've got a drawing just about ready to go then for if I want to come in and just work tones and stuff. I can work the hand out a little bit more. So remember we started with the mitten, and so now I can create the fingers. And also keep in mind that the mitten is a good way to, if you get the claw, something really ugly that's not going to work for you, you can always change it. Because the mitten, you're dividing it. So there's your palm, your finger, and your palm, your thumb, and your fingers. And you can always rearrange the fingers as long as they attach correctly and they're doing something humanly possible. So we can follow the fingers here and just get this nice gesture of the hand. Make sure we have the volume into the wrist. Both sides check. And you see, we've got that composition we want.
Yeah.
And we got the gesture. And again,
So the
looks
stool's
like she's
in the
in
head
a
on.
strange dance here. If we don't put
Yeah.
something about the stool into here.
Mm-hmm.
She has a world record for squat. 25 minutes.
Okay, that's good. No, that's thanks.
That's
Portrait of the year.
But anyway, yeah, that process, and really in the first 5 minutes, you're kind of solving if things go well in the first 5 minutes, you're solving your composition and gesture. So then you just fuss against the valve to get that lightness, and it's a funny thing that sometimes you have a great drawing and you get in and start modeling in your tones and things, and it gets lost, and then you have to refine it.
So it already looks like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was coming, it was a pretty decent start. Kind of neat mouth, it's trying to figure that out. But there's a happy mouth. Yeah.
Any other pointers for, still for life drawing? You know, we go to these different life drawing classes and stuff.
Oh,
Sessions.
same thing I would do with my pastels. I really very strongly pay attention to the pattern of light and shadow. That becomes, in most life drawings, we don't care if it's 100% portrait of the model. But make it powerful, make your values the element of design that's most powerful. Because it really is, value is. I mean, you start losing your sight, that's what you see. You all just values it. But we tend too much to dwell on details. And so the start would be just find that separation of light and shadow. I did bring one piece that is a charcoal of a clothed figure here. It's a charcoal. And in this case, though, the light was pretty soft, so I don't get a really good pattern sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. But still, your value is the power. Get established keys, meaning get your darkest dark, your lightest light in early.
Okay.
So your paper is usually your lightest light if it's a charcoal drawing. If it's pastel, I think it'd look much better in a medium tone paper. So you almost have to establish both your light and your dark. And I'd say go for your lightest key, but it's hard to just start with a highlight. But get your pattern in and then hit a highlight or something so that you see a full range of value you're working with. Okay, any questions? Does that make sense? It's really fun, but that, the biggest tips I can give you is stepping back, looking at proportions, find halfway. That's huge. I have people doing gestures and they have no idea how long to make the legs and stuff. But as soon as you do the easier thing, the torso, like 2-to-1 ratio from the front, and you know where you get this much, then you know how big to make your legs. Or if you're in the vicinity. Yeah. So the halfway is really great to mark.
Mitch, can you go back for a minute and talk a little bit more about the ellipse?
Sure.
And how you figure out how it curves
Sure.
around the head.
Michael, can I steal you?
Draw lines around your head.
But lines around Michael's head.
Hey Mitch, when I was in art school, we did an exercise that was super helpful where we had a mannequin and we put masking tape around the mannequin all around, and then you had to draw only the tape. And you ended up with everything in the right place and the form and everything. It was a really great exercise.
Yeah, I've always wanted to paint the models, but they don't let you. But it'd be fun.
Michael will, go ahead. Rip the tape off his mustache.
That was me, Michael. Okay, so if we're maybe you able to kind of tilt your head a little bit without your neck getting sore. Yeah. So chin up just a little bit more. We're just going to go for a quick one. So when I'm setting up Michael's head here, I'm just going to get the basic angle of the head happening here, kind of basic shape. And then the perspective is elliptical, so think elliptical. The eye being just a straight line at your eye level, but when the head tilts, now that's becoming an ellipse. Some people are a little flatter, so that ellipse can be a little straighter and then change. Or, if you're rounder head, then it can be round. But anyway, it's this idea that, okay, with this head kind of tilted back a little bit more, then we're no longer at halfway, for one thing. And we're getting the eyes, eye to eye, I get a line like that, and then it kind of comes down a little bit to the ear. But if you think of this as an ellipse, what we're really seeing is this ellipse around the head. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the other line that's important is the turn of the head. So we get that, and then I can look at his nose, work that in. So we'll get the nose here, mouth area. Based on this line, that's going to keep us symmetrical so we don't get skewed. Yeah. And I'm going to have the beard there. We come in here now, look at the eyes. And this is what I meant. Sometimes it's easier to draw the shadow than the eye. We could just come in here and kind of get that area that the eye's in. And now that I have my face kind of laid out, I can look at the contours. So we can look at the forehead and see what kind of shape does he have to the forehead. Some people are very straight and flat, others are more tilted, some are very round. You look for the variables. And I can come in too and look at the cheek, or I can get in and, let's get that eye into here. And then the other eye. And the thing to keep in mind is that the eyes always have room for a third eye between them. So you don't want to get narrower than that. People with small eyes tend to have a little smaller space even too. And some people will be wider, but rarely narrower. So think of that third eye, that there always is room for that third eye, no matter how the head is turned. And we get Michael's other eye here. And then we can look at the hair up here. Down, and this line is going to help us find the ear. The other thing that helps you find the ear is the jawline. So when we follow this, we can follow that, and where this line where the jaw ends, if you go straight up, your ear is right on that line. It starts there. But that's a variable too, how far your jaw goes back. So be sure to look carefully and see, and then we can put the ear in here. And the one part of the face that grows throughout your entire life. Ear. Yeah.
And
Some
your
people-
nose.
And your nose, yeah.
And the nose.
Yeah. The thing that grows the least throughout your life is also in the face. You know what that is? Eyes. Yeah, from birth to death, your eyes grow the least in your whole body. Yeah.
The strongest muscle in your whole body is your tongue.
I've heard that. I don't believe it though. I can't lift that much with my tongue.
Watch this, watch.
Yeah. I think it's your
Glutes.
bone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your glutes, because they really support your body. You depend on those a lot. My stepdad, he had colon cancer and had surgery, and they cut some of those muscles. And yeah, it weakened him a lot. So I think it's in your glutes. That's the strongest. So we look at the neck here. And make adjustments. But basically have it, and it's laid in here now. And just gotta look at the angle of the eyes. Just gotta get back and look at it. I can probably knock a little off the beard here.
Can you talk a little bit about mouth and lips?
Yeah, but I don't see any. I see mostly.
That's what I mean, like there
Mostly
you are,
hair there.
so if there's no mouth, you know what I'm saying, you have to.
How do you create it?
You just do a plumb line from the eye, wherever you can add to the.
Now, mouths are interesting. Thanks, Michael. I think Yeah. But now just get that structure in there, and you get that natural perspective, but it's really laying in the correct perspective when you're starting and getting, not getting skewed so that you are using the line. Some people have a strong mouth, you have to think about that too. If the mouth sticks out and the head starts to turn, you don't have a flat line anymore, you have a line that needs to kind of follow out a little bit. Mouths are kind of interesting in that you have upper lip that's composed of 3 volumes. 1 in the middle, 2 on the sides, and then your lower lip is considered 2 values. Not 2 values, 2 volumes. Sorry, did I say values?
No.
Okay, volumes, yeah. So 2 volumes on the bottom. Well, what do we get from that? What we get is that instead of a straight line, there is this little bit that follows these volumes. You see that? Yeah. So that's what's kind of needed on those. Most of us, as we're getting older, I look at my 20-year license and stuff, and I used to have lips.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a little thinner. I was telling my class that like I really knew, felt very confident saying that, but I had a black woman in the class that said, no. Not among my people. Yeah, so, not always true. If you have really full lips, you might have it throughout life. Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest challenges utilizing pastel and creating a figure in portraits that's different from any other medium?
The biggest challenge, or
Yeah.
what I like most?
What, your take on it?
Biggest challenge is, what is the biggest challenge? One of the challenges I think that pastel has that say oil painting doesn't, is that saturation point on the paper. Yeah, you've got to, if you go beyond a certain point, it starts to destroy it. Yeah, it's better to a certain point. So you're kind of watching that. It's like the watercolors that has, watercolor is one of the most difficult because it involves timing. At least with pastel, we don't have to worry about timing, but we do have to watch how many, where we're kind of reaching a saturation point. There is a certain amount of forgiveness, and then you can scrape off and reapply. What I love about it is the texture. And that's what I'm kind of having fun about these pieces, that kind of combination charcoal, or just the lights, but to see the texture. Different ways. And that's what's fun about trying different papers and different pastels. You get different effects of texture and stuff. So, it's fun. I'm still discovering. Yeah. And I learn a lot coming to these things.
Yeah.
Because, I'm seeing great landscape painters. Learning a lot, getting a lot of ideas. So, appreciate this place. Yeah. Yeah, so I thought I saw Michael, then I've lost him. Anyway,
Are there any pastels? Pastels, do you just use a variety of pastels? Or can we see you make a Terry Ludwig
yeah,
in the future?
my comfort zone is Rembrandt's, just because that's what I've used over the years. It's what I could afford back in the day. Now I'm getting these beautiful Terry Ludwigs, and I was a little afraid to use them, but I forced myself to do a piece entirely with Terry Ludwigs that's going to be in the Mile High show. It's a Swan Lake piece. Because I thought, I gotta do something for Jeff. Let him know that these are those, because I got these prize Ludwigs, and Terry was always generous too when he was around, gave me some. So, yeah, I'm liking them, but it's a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're so much softer than Rembrandt's. Talking
Yes.
about filling up the tube. It's a lot
Yeah,
easier.
Rembrandt's gonna take a little bit more labor. Terry's, hold back. Yeah. So, anyway, does that perspective make sense?
Wonderful.
To you on the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, such an important part of it. I don't know where we're at time. Oh, we're already out of time. Huh? Yeah. It's not-
I'm gonna just get some of your things here, because I couldn't get a straight on of anything where I was.
Oh, sure.
No, it's okay, I got some stuff. Yeah, it is beautiful. Everything is beautiful.
Yeah.